What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your man Marv Glover. Oh, damn! You don't even have to cut it out. I'll correct it. Oh, that's embarrassing.
It's like the rebrand didn't happen.
It is just like
hello, you're a comedian.
Yes. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your man Marv Francois.
And the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the chiseled Adonis.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Hold My Nuggets podcast. Here where we talk 50% sports,
50% real shit, 100% of the time.
And if you don't like that, you can hold my nuggets.
Suck my dick.
I messed my name up.
Yeah, you did.
That was
you did.
That was embarrassing.
You done forgot who you were. You done went from regular you to stage you, and
back
then back to regular you.
me. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, I'm not wrong. This is I am Marv Glover.
I mean, technically, yeah.
But it's just, you understand, I do.
Yeah, you're Francois.
Kitchen, bath, and variety for all your kitchen and bathroom cabinetry needs. How are you, my good sir?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
That's good, man. Happy to be here. Happy to be here for episode 27. This is a very big deal.
27.
27.
So that's my second favorite number of all time.
You know what's crazy? I actually have to take this time to ask you this. I don't really tune into the live streams like that, but when I do, I cause problems. But I have to ask. There's this thing that goes on. I see you get tagged a lot. What is Big 7? And big
hashtag big ass 7.
Yeah, what is big?
Oh yeah, you see what happens is when you tune into a Chisel Adonis live stream, right? You come in to Hold My Nuggets studios and you come and you watch a live stream of mine. What happens is when somebody scores a touchdown, it deserves the proper celebration.
So you do big numbers.
So we do big ass numbers. But if you kick a game winning field goal, now that's a big ass 3. But if you go on a 19 play 90-yard drive, and you leave with 3 points, that's a weak-ass 3, man.
And you do that, you acknowledge it every time.
Oh, every single time. So somebody scores an opening drive touchdown, they go down the field, they score on the first play. It's an emphatic sort of touchdown. Oh, that's a big-ass 6. This is Lizzo size 6. That's an unchiseled Adonis size 6.
You don't have to bring up Lizzo. That was a little...
Gargantuan, elephantine, size 6.
Right.
Haystacks Calhoun, size 6.
Got you. So that's what that's all about.
Oh yeah. Big time.
Okay.
And the more that the numbers increase, we continue to add it. So touchdown, it's a big ass 7 because you got to add in the extra point. But if they miss the extra point, Chris Boswell, it's a big ass 6. And as you go down, big ass 18, big ass 14, things of that nature. You got to make it fun for the people.
Interesting. And now another random question. I wanted to ask you this off air, but I asked her on air. So of all the kickers, because we know you have gripes with several, one of which in particular, where did this Nick Folk beef start exactly? Was he once upon a time a kicker for the Steelers? Or
no.
So where's the hate for Nick Folk exactly come from? I can see it's seething out of you right now. It's really that bad. He actually missed his first kick for the.
Oh yeah.
So where does that?
Yeah. You see, 4 years ago. That's a lie. That's way longer. 4 years ago. So now 87 years.
Is the score 20?
Yeah. Score is 20.
So 4 times 20. That would be. I didn't graduate. So
Yeah. It was quite some time ago.
Yeah.
But whatever the case may be, it was week 5, 2017. They're playing in Tampa Bay, Raymond James Stadium. Here comes the Tampa Bay Buccaneers riding in high on who else but Mr. 30 for 30. It's Jameis Winston. And he's actually playing a pretty good game against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. If I'm not mistaken, they are defending Super Bowl champions coming into this season.
Indeed they are.
So here Jameis actually is doing everything in his power to keep this game afloat.
Right.
And here is Nick Folk on a Thursday night. A warm Thursday night. It wasn't too hot. It was the beginning of October. And what does he do? Misses 3 field goals.
In a row? Or just in the
If I'm not mistaken, it was all in a row.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
2 that should be categorized as chip shots. 1 from 55, which I can understand. I was slightly before the half. Wide to the right, wide to the left, wide to the right. This brother could not hit it at all. And my thing is, your job is simply as a kicker.
It's to kick. It's in your
We
name.
saw it Monday night between Tennessee and Denver. Stephen Gostkowski, he has a borderline Hall of Fame career. It's very tough to get in as a kicker. It's very tough to get in as a special teams player, period.
Right.
But after missing 3 field goals and 1 extra point, what happened? He kicks the game-winning field goal. Confidence wasn't necessarily wavered. Did he dodge the death note? Absolutely. Should he still be chastised by me? Without question. But Nick Folk, did he ever redeem himself?
Never.
No. So, as far as I'm concerned, I ought to drag you through the mud. I would rather. I would rather.
You would rather
Be a bed bug.
a bed bug.
A bed bug.
Okay.
underneath the cheeks of Lizzo than have to be.
This is the second reference.
Nick Folk.
What's your beef with Lizzo?
She's.
We'll talk about that another time.
You know,
brother.
she's out there.
Got you.
It's mine.
This is we not going.
Sensational voice talent. She's got great voice talent,
no,
but
she's sensational.
she just.
Yeah.
I don't like her personality.
Well, she's very attractive. Anyways, we are going to stay focused because the only reason I started off with football because, yes, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen, whatever, gentlemen, I'm all over the place. I'm thinking about things. NFL football is back and better than ever in spite of the pandemic that has made the man indeed panic. Football is back. Steelers are back. The boys are back. Everything and anything football is locked, loaded, and ready to go. We're going to be getting into that a little bit later on in this. Okay, I see you doing the boys. But we're going to be getting into a little bit later. But first, you know we got to start it off with some NBA playoff basketball because for the first time ever, the MLB, the NBA, and the NFL are all happening around the same time.
Yep.
And I mean, this is historic. It's obviously
at least playoff of the NFL.
Yeah,
this
is I mean, this is crazy. There's so much sports going on all at once. I mean, on one hand, it kind of sucks because of COVID, but on the other hand, it's like, damn, it's absolutely ridiculous. But we will start off with NBA basketball, starting off with your team, the Miami Heat, who just, was it yesterday?
Yep.
Faced off against the Boston Celtics in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Miami Heat came out victorious, given thanks to one game-saving block by your guy, Bam Adebayo.
Oh, no, don't do that, Bam Bam.
Oh, yes.
That's his name?
Yes,
Got you.
Mr. Bam Adebayo.
The Miami Heat were able to secure Game 1 of this, the first game of the Eastern Conference Finals. So we'll start off saying this. What was your biggest takeaway watching Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals?
Well, for one, the Celtics don't know what they want to do offensively with the basketball.
Okay.
That's number one. Before I even get into Miami Heat, I'll say this, because if you tuned into the live stream, you would have saw I was calling out exactly what was going to happen for Boston. Kemba Walker, as great as a ball handler that he is, brother really only got two moves. He has a step back.
That's crazy.
And he has a behind the back dribble. Those are his only two moves. And every single time, if you go back and look at the fourth quarter, he would go to his right, he would go to his left, the exact same move. Jason Tatum, 30 points. Why was Kemba having the ball down the stretch? It wasn't until OT that they had Jason Tatum actually have the ball in his hand. Marcus Smart hit 6 threes.
Yeah, he's been.
He was over 20 points, I think, going into the fourth quarter. They didn't try to get him involved at all. Kemba has been struggling since Game 6 of the semifinals, and he's still, for some apparent reason, this is the guy that we rolling with. I understand that he is the all-star on the team. He's the guy of all of them, although I believe it will be Jason Tatum.
No, I mean, I think it's just.
But Kemba is the guy who has been a star in this league. So I understand you want to put the ball in his hands, but you got to roll with the hot hand. So the decision making from Brad Stevens, it's being called into question. And the other point that I took away from it is Miami got some dogs.
Oh my God.
Miami got some dogs.
Some dogs.
And I said it when we first in the summer.
No, you did. You've been talking about this for a while.
I told everybody, you better watch out for Miami.
Yeah.
It ain't my bias that's showing. I'm slightly of a biased fan when it comes to sports, but I'm purely objective across the board. And I saw this coming. It doesn't matter who you put on the floor, these guys can guard. And I believe it's not no Hampton 5 now. But I think Miami's lineup that is absolutely dangerous is when you got Dragic on the floor, you got Hero on the floor, you got Butler, Bam, and Jay Crowder. Those 5, when they're on the floor, you've got scoring from everywhere. You got defense and guys who can guard multiple positions. Dragic can probably get you the 1 and 2, but he's not going to get you the 3. Hero can span between the 1 to the 3. Jimmy can guard all 5. Bam can go. Oh yeah, I believe Jimmy can guard all 5.
I'll give you 4.
Jay Crowder is a 3 and D guy, but he can guard between 4 all the way up to 1. And Bam, I'm confident with Bam on anybody.
Right.
I believe in this brother's lateral quickness.
No,
that is our lineup. That's our closing lineup. And you could throw in Duncan Robinson and switch him out with Tyler Hero. Although Duncan Robinson's a bit of a defensive liability in my opinion. He got light feet. I don't think he got traction underneath his shoes. He almost got his ankles taken a few times. But that brother could shoot from, as Stephen A. Smith would say,
the parking lot.
From
the parking lot.
So, the way I saw it, watching that game, I'm confident. And let me just say this last piece about Boston.
Right.
Gordon Hayward is set to return. They're not too sure if it's going to be confirmed for Game 2 or if it's going to be later down the line at one point.
Right.
But they needed to win Game 1 Because the better case scenario to bring back somebody like Gordon Hayward, who's going to take away minutes from these guys, who's a Marcus Smart, a Jaylen Brown, those guys who've been getting minutes in his absence. You bringing him back in when you're facing a deficit in the series, you don't have the wiggle room to say, all right, we could spot you a game to figure out our chemistry. You go down 0-2 to Miami.
It's over. No, it's over.
It's about to be over.
It's over.
Because it's already tough to beat Miami 2 times in a row. But in the bubble, the way they're playing right now, every single game matters. So Boston, their back's up against the wall, although it's only been one game. But it's going to be very trying and challenging to see how they're going to correct themselves moving forward.
Man, my biggest takeaway, just to piggyback off your main point, Boston. Miami is a bad team, man. In a good way. And a bad team in a good way. They got some bad boys on there. I'm looking at their squad, and I think the conversation should no longer be how can they come out on top when it comes to their matchup against the Celtics. I think the conversation should now be how many games will they take the Los Angeles Lakers, because I think they're going to the finals. One thing's for sure, two things for certain. Boston cannot afford to lose game 2. It's just not possible, because if you let Miami go up 2-0, it's over. Even if they come back and win game 3, I cannot see them going past. I think this is a situation where I wouldn't be surprised if Boston gets swept. Granted, they are a very talented group, but I'm looking at this Miami team. They have it all. They play extremely well on both sides of the floor, and they're not selfish either.
Nope.
Whoever has the hot hand. One game is Duncan Robinson. Another game is Jimmy Butler. You see Jay Crowder. You see they move the ball really well. And on top of that, just in terms of, this is something I've talked about a lot of times on previous episodes. I feel like every team, it's not every team, some teams have what I call an emotional leader, right? Where he might not necessarily be the best person on the squad, but he embodies, I guess, the overall energy and the kind of mindset and the dog that team moves with. With the Rockets, it's PJ Tucker.
Yep.
With the Clippers, it's Patrick Beverley, right? With the Miami Heat, they have that in their best player, Jimmy Butler, who is also, if not Tyler Hero, their closer, where he's literally saying, put the ball in my hands, get out the way, I'm taking us to the promised land.
It's definitely Jimmy Butler who's a closer.
Yeah,
Tyler Hero just happens to...
No, Tyler Hero has a clutch gene, though.
Bam! No, he got it. He got it. He's not the closer. The title of the close. But he can close.
He can close. But yes, Jimmy Butler...
It's not his shift to close out the shot, but he there.
He there. And in case Jimmy Butler ain't there to do it, you can rely on Tyler.
Absolutely.
And that's another thing. I love Tyler Hero. As young as he is, he has a lot of promise. He does not shy away from the big moment. And the reason why I love, and you remember, and you heard it because I saw you sharing a lot of those tweets. Coming into the Miami Heat, there were a lot of questions about could Jimmy Butler be the guy. But you see the way that this team has been playing, not just in the bubble, but if you've been paying attention to them all season long, they rally around Jimmy Butler. The energy that he embodies has seeped through every single other player in the team to where they just walk around with this swagger, this confidence, like the game is ours. And really and truly it is. I love Boston, but I think that there's still a little bit of ways to go before I can seriously look at them as a title contender. I think that within the next 2 to 3 years, we'll be talking about Jason Tatum as a top 5 player. He's well on his way. The brother just made third All NBA third team.
I think it may be third team.
Jaylen Brown is a great number 2 to him. Kemba Walker finally been in a position where he can finally win. You understand? The 2 moves thing, I actually never noticed that. That was very hilarious.
2 moves.
That's very hilarious. I knew about the step back. I didn't know about the behind the back.
Yep.
But man, I'm looking at this Miami Heat team. Like I said, I would not be surprised if they sweep Boston. Now, if they don't, I can't see this series going to 7. I'm sorry, I just can't. The most I see can go is maybe 5-6 games.
Yep.
But all in all, I love this Miami Heat team. And on top of that, man, another person I feel like that doesn't get talked about enough, and I'll let you touch on this if you want to. Shout out to Eric Spoelstra, man. One of the more consistent coaches in the league today. The brother every year puts his guys in the best position possible to just go out there and compete. You understand? An Eric Spoelstra-led team is never slacking off. They never look. They always go out there and put their best foot forward. And now they have the pieces to not just do that, but compete for it all. So I love this Miami Heat team. But now the question moving forward is, I gave my prediction for the series. I kind of know where you stand, but what would you say your predictions are for this series? How do you?
I'd say
Heat
in 6, which was my initial prediction. But I'm so happy that you said you would not be surprised if Boston got swept. Because if Boston doesn't take game 2, Miami's fixing to win in 5.
Oh yeah.
And my thing, the only reason why I'm saying that there's a possibility it could go to a 6th game is solely because When Boston's back is up against the wall, they show up. However, they have the same problem that the Clippers have. They play very good in the first half, but come third quarter, they start to get lax. Boston had a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter up against Miami. They were in a position where you could put this team away, and they got lax. You could tell by the way there's runs in the game. Basketball is all about ebb and flow. Even when Boston played against Toronto, they jumped out to double-digit leads. Now, granted, this basketball. Double-digit leads don't last always. But you can't jump out to multiple 12-point leads in a game and you still find your way to lose that and then mess around and go back down by double digits yourself. Boston has consistently lost third quarters. Miami, throughout this entire bubble, has been, if not the best, second half team. Third quarter wise, they've dominated. This is the same reason why the Nuggets were able to take down the Clippers. They've dominated. So because of that one particular portion of information, if Boston does not go into halftime up by 20, there's a pot they're fixing to lose. You cannot be only up by 5, only up by 10 against this Miami Heat coming out of the break. You had better answer with everything they're going to throw at you, because third and fourth quarters, I think over the course of the past 6 games, they've probably reached 30 per quarter. Not consistently where it's per, but third quarter or fourth quarter, they've had 30 points at least in each of those games. At least the third or the fourth. They've made it happen.
I mean, another thing you have to consider is that, if it were not for overtime virtuoso performance by Chris Middleton in Game 4 of the Bucks versus Miami series, Miami would be undefeated right now.
Absolutely.
In the playoffs.
Absolutely.
They have been absolutely sensational. But I guess now, another thing we want to get into, who for you, for each individual team, for Miami and also for the Boston Celtics, would you say is the X factor for each team moving forward in this series?
Boston, you saw it last night. Marcus Smart.
Easy. Come on, man.
That's the X factor.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart in the bubble has been shooting and scoring. This is very uncharacteristic. 'Cause
Very.
I know that this brother can ball.
Right.
But to the level that he's been able to be on the offensive side, this guy has been what Draymond Green has been to the 2015, 2016 Warriors.
I agree.
This is a guy who's getting it done on the glass. He's getting it done facilitating the ball and passing out assists. And more importantly, the brother's scoring.
Yeah.
He's doing all 3 facets of the game, and you can't even forget about what happens on defense.
Right.
He's first team,
All
defense, as Tony Allen would say.
Right, yeah.
So this guy, he is the complete X factor. If he does not stay consistent throughout the series, it's tough. Jaylen Brown had a very quiet 20-plus point night.
Right.
But his presence wasn't felt.
Right.
So Marcus Smart has to be consistent. As for Miami, I say their X factor is Bam. Because early on in the first quarter, there were moments. Bam had some missed shots, or he had one that got blocked. But the paint is right there for you.
Right.
Thies, I don't think he could guard him. Williams, they can't guard him. If Bam utilizes that perimeter shot that you saw close games in the series against Indiana, it's over. If Bam goes out there and he averages 18 to 20 points, it's over. And you spoke to something a little bit earlier when you talked about leadership and the impact of players. And you talked about the attitude that Jimmy Butler brings to the team. We can't also forget, coming off the bench, they got a lot of experience, man. Andre Iguodala's on that team.
We don't even talk about that enough. That's true.
He don't go out there. He don't have to do much. But his presence alone, because he's been there.
Right.
He's been on the greatest regular season.
He's like one of the
all
silent
time.
leaders of the team, where it's like,
Yes, indeed. And he came in later down the road. People overlook the importance of having the veteran leadership.
Right.
That's why Udonis Haslem is still there.
Right.
Just taking up space on the bench. But
love
it's
to
necessary
see,
to
man.
keep these young guys
Right.
and to keep them level-headed.
Right.
So you got a guy like Dragic who's 30 plus. He's 30 years old plus. He played with Shaq. So he's been around for a while. He's also an all-star coming off the bench. Right? You got young guys like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, but you got Jimmy Butler who sets them straight. You got Andre Iguodala who sets them straight. Jay Crowder has always been in the postseason. I don't know when Jay Crowder had missed the postseason. So you got a ton of rough riders on this team, but that X factor for me, for Miami, is Bam. For Boston, it's got to be Marcus Smart.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off those things, I agree with both those picks, but more importantly with Marcus Smart, to your point, we've always known what he's been defensively. I'm actually surprised. I don't think he was in top 3 voting for Defensive Player of the Year, which I think was absolutely ludicrous. But to see what he's been doing on the offensive side of the ball, the confidence that I don't know if this is just like I said. I think the bubble has brought a lot of different things out of different players. But to see the confidence in that he's exemplifying in shooting the basketball is not something that we're used to seeing. You know, like I said, he's like the emotional leader of that team. You know he's gonna hustle. You know he's gonna hit the ground to get a loose ball if need be. And we all know what he's gonna do on defense. But offensively, to see the way that he stepped up, you talked about it with a Jaylen Brown. You know, even in him putting up 20 points. Felt nowhere near as effective and as impactful as what Marcus Smart was doing on the offensive side of the ball. So definitely with him. And then with Bam, I mean, you look at that game-saving block that he had and just what he means on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, we know what they're going to do.
Yep.
But defensively, to see the way that he stepped up and made his attitude and presence felt, I think also has an effect on all the other people. And then you talked about it too. We don't talk about Andre Iguodala enough. We don't talk about even UD as long as he's been there. The way that, you know, as good as this group of guys are, they're still fairly young. Jimmy Butler is still up there.
31.
Still on the you know, somewhere in the middle. But then you have the Tyler Heroes and the Kendrick Nunns and the Duncan Robinsons of the world. These guys need that guidance, need those dogs.
Yeah, especially Kendrick Nunn.
No, yeah.
He has been. I don't know what's happened since we returned from the bubble. We ain't talk about that.
We're not gonna get into that. But all in all, man, like I said, I really love this Miami Heat team. Personally, I feel like I wasn't paying enough attention to them until that Bucks series came and we saw what happened with that. But like I said, the question for me is no longer how many games for this Boston series. It's how many games do I think they can take the Lakers, because I think that they are going to the finals along with the Lakers. But I'm happy I brought up the Lakers because we're going to take a transition to the West, to LA, but not necessarily to the Lakers. We're going to go to another team, the little brother of the Lakers that will I don't think they in the bubble anymore.
I don't think they a little brother either. They a distant cousin. I don't know what it is, but you see that barbershop's closed, man.
Yeah, no.
Those Clippers, it's over.
It's over. I'm not even a distant cousin. There's like that creepy ass uncle that nobody invites.
Yeah, pretty much. You just show up at the barbecue.
Yeah, and then that's it. It's looking absolutely bad because, man, oh man, you want to talk about upset of the year. The Los Angeles Clippers, the team that most, if not all, NBA analysts swore up and down were going straight to the NBA Finals, get sent home packing. Not in the Western Conference Finals.
Nope.
Not in the finals, but in the second round of the playoffs where they lost to the Denver Nuggets team that rallied back from being down 3-1 again.
In the same postseason.
I think this is the third time it's ever happened on time, right? Because the first time was, I believe, with the LeBron's Cavs and the...
No. That was the first time ever in the finals. It's happened.
No, I'm talking about postseason.
Postseason period? No, this has been going on for quite some time. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 13th time.
Really?
Because, when the Jazz blew the 3-1 lead, they were the 12th team to do it. So now the Clippers are the 13th. But the Nuggets made history because they're the first team to do it multiple times in one season and back-to-back
series. So they do it the first time to the Utah Jazz, and we all saw what happened with that. But now with this team, this Los Angeles Clippers team, and by the way, it's not just the fact that they blew the 3-1 lead. It's how they did it. In the last 3 games, you're up 10-plus points. I think it was going into the fourth or going into the third.
No, it was in the third. They were up by 12.
And you lose the series. Now, don't get me wrong. Denver is not
They're no slouches.
There are no slouches. Jokic and Jamal Murray is slowly but surely emerging from star to superstar. This brother is on another level right now in the bubble. But the Los Angeles Clippers, man. I mean, first of all, what were your personal thoughts on the Game 7 loss for the between the Clippers and the Denver Nuggets?
For one, I'll say you got no excuse.
None.
There's no excuse.
None.
When you see this team that has gone out there, you're up by 18 in Game 5, you blow it. You're up by 19 in Game 6, you blow it. You're up by 12, and I said it all stream long. This is a team that cannot allow themselves to lose the third quarter. And what they do, lose the third quarter. Yeah. They came out extremely flat, extremely stagnant. Montrezl Harrell may be the 6th man of the year, but in my opinion, he don't earn that. He ain't earned that shit. Because when you watch his style of play, this guy defers from scoring when scoring's right in front of him. If he need to play football because he'd be a great defensive lineman. He's got a great motor. But when it comes to basketball, his decision-making simply not there. Lemon Pepper Lou.
He look like he stink.
Exactly. That Lemon Pepper Lou don't know what the hell he doing.
You don't know what he wants.
This dude, he should be somewhere at Magic City looking at some ass while eating some wings because over there trying to play basketball, this man was not here.
At all.
Then Paul George
Pandemic P, Playoff P. So they called them, instead of Playoff P, they called them Way Off P. That's the name that's circulating around right now. It looked tragic, brother. It looked. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't even mean to go ahead.
No. I mean, it's somebody
sad.
need to get this brother some Gatorade because this 2K character got the insignia underneath.
Yeah.
This dude, hot garbage.
Trash.
Because when it comes to the postseason, he don't show up.
Didn't
Remember,
show up.
we started to look like, wait a minute, hold on.
It's bad,
He
bro.
came alive late in the series against Dallas. He started pretty well in the beginning of this series against Denver. And then what happened? Fell off a goddamn cliff.
Yeah.
How the hell does Kawhi, and I didn't even get to Kawhi, but how the hell does Kawhi and Paul George combine for 0 points in the fourth quarter? How does Kawhi go 6 for 22 in a game 7 when you was up 3-1? How do you go 1 for 11 in the second half? Make that make sense. You have 2 six-mans of the year coming off your bench. You've got a damn MVP candidate in Kawhi Leonard, although he wasn't in the top 5 voting. But there's somebody who arguably was the best player in the world, people were saying.
That's what they was saying.
You have Paul George, who was top 3 in MVP voting last year, and here you are once again can't get it done. Might I add, you have 2 guys who are on the all-defensive team, and nobody could stop Jamal Murray. He was doing whatever the hell he wanted. Jokic went out there and was looking like Vlade Divac in his prime, passing all over the place in the paint. I only say Vlade Divac because, in my opinion, he was probably the greatest passing big. We're not going to count Magic Johnson because he plays the 1. But when we talk from the center position, power forward, you got Tim Duncan and things of that nature. This man, Jokic, was in there throwing it all over the place. Everybody was getting the ball in their hand. At one point, he went over his back to get it to Murray.
That was a really nice pass.
You've got to be kidding me. They playing backyard basketball on that ass, and y'all was slided to go to the NBA Finals. Doc Rivers, this is your 3rd time blowing a 3-1 lead.
One first time with the Magic, second time with the Clippers. Well, no, second time. Yeah, second time with the Clippers when they lost to the Warriors, I believe it was, right? The 3-1 lead. And now this time again with this team. So yeah, you
gotta be kidding me, man.
In the words of the dusty and musty Patrick Beverly, Cancun on 3-1-2-3 Cancun, because it's over. It's pack your bags, grab your things, get the hell up out the bubble. It's done. Season over. First and foremost, what are my thoughts on Game 7? I think you've touched on everything in game, but I'll take it a step further. I need someone to check on Steve Ballmer. Because I can only imagine the pain, the suffering, the frustration, the anger that is going through this man right now. The mountains that he moved to get not only Kawhi Leonard, but Paul George. They traded away their future to get these. Well, I mean, Kawhi was a free agent, but to get Paul George. And for you to come in the bubble, brother, and perform the way that you did, you should be arrested for theft and grand larceny because you have robbed the Los Angeles Clipper fans, the fan base, and the front office of all of their money. Because when it was time to show up, you did not show out. A damn shame. Doc Rivers, I think for me, the person that because there's so many different people that you could look at. There's so many different people that you could look at. You understand? Once again, this is not to take anything away from the Denver Nuggets, but at the same time, you're talking about a team. I mean, the hype and the expectation that was surrounding this team. You understand? Especially a player in a Kawhi Leonard to where, now this is LA versus LA, Kawhi versus LeBron. You have people that are sitting here saying Kawhi is the new best player, is now officially the best player in the NBA. Before, KD's injury, someone saying it was his time, but, we'll see how that happens coming into his transition into Brooklyn. But Kawhi is the best player. All Clippers are going to win it. They were surefire set, you understand? But you think about what the build-up coming into the bubble. First of all, they didn't even want to be in the bubble.
Nope.
That's another thing we don't even talk about. There were a good amount of players, a lot of the prominent players, from Lou Williams to Trez, and I think even Kawhi was in it too. I'm not too sure. Did not want to come into the bubble. You look at the regular season, you had a lot of games where earlier on Paul George sat out, right? You had Kawhi Leonard with his load management. There was this sense of ego coming into the playoffs where they kind of just felt like the championship was theirs for the taking. It didn't feel like they didn't need to do the due diligence as a team to come together, figure out who they were and what their identity was as a team, get the chemistry going for the postseason. And it showed. It definitely showed. Like I said, you go back all the way back to the first series. I think if the Dallas Mavericks aren't cheated because Kristaps Porzingis gets eliminated, gets thrown out of the game, who's to say that the Dallas Mavericks aren't the one to get rid of the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round. And if that happened, we'd be having a totally different guy. I don't think Doc Rivers would still have a job.
No,
that's
not
me.
at all.
That's
Not
me.
at all.
That's
First round exit with that team, it's
no, it's gone. You got to go. I don't care who you are. You got to
Uh-huh.
go. But this is disappointing. Really and truly isn't even the word. I'm looking at a Paul George. At one point in time, we were lauding him as one of the best two-way players in the game. Now, I don't even want to look at him. I'm looking at a Kawhi Leonard. People were sitting here calling him the best player in the NBA and saying that he's taken the throne from LeBron. You saw the commercial with
Yep.
New Balance and things like that. That conversation is done, brother. I don't want to hear it,
Over.
see it, think about it, speak. You finish. You understand? Dusty ass, dirty ass, stinky ass, musty ass, stink breath ass, Patrick Beverly, all his yapping and talking and 1, 2, 3 Cancun and this and that. You know, I saw a tweet that was very interesting that I actually agree with. It seemed like Patrick Beverly had the arrogance that he had because he felt like Paul George and Kawhi were going to carry him to the chip. Well, look at you now. You going home stinky. You understand? It's over, brother. It's over. And Lou Williams, where were you? He went to Atlantic City and left his talents right there with the lemon pepper wings, came over here and stunk up the joint. It was sad. I really and truly don't have words, and it's unfortunate because we all wanted to see the Clippers versus the Lakers, because even though the Denver Nuggets beat the Clippers, and I strongly believe that the Clippers, I mean, it's just something, you understand where I'm coming from. That Clippers-Lakers matchup would have been one for the books.
Yep.
Well, we're not probably never going to get it now.
Nope.
Because it's stinky ass, dusty ass Patrick Beverly and the rest of this Los Angeles Clippers team. Congratulations. You played yourself. But on to the next topic. I mean, we kind of touched on it already, but for you, do you feel like this ends the Kawhi versus LeBron debate?
No, without question.
Yeah, it's over.
LeBron's 14-0 after leading 3-1 in the series.
Right.
He's never lost.
Right.
And blew a 3-1 lead.
Never.
Now, that's not to say, oh, well, he didn't have a team that could accompany him in winning the series. No, that's not what this is about. Kawhi, you're talking about this the best player in the world.
Right.
You can't blow these sort of games. Game 6, he came to play. He dropped 36, and other people didn't. But if you're supposed to be this transcendent, larger than life, you are the best.
Right.
You have to be able to galvanize those around you.
Have to.
How the hell, even though, I'm really, sometimes I'm a fun guy. Well, where's the fun guy? Are you in practice getting on people? How does this happen?
Doesn't make sense.
How? It's over, man. This conversation is no longer
I
there.
wanna hear it.
LeBron has shown year in and year up, but he's 3-6. Yes, but he's been able to get his teams, some teams that had no business being there,
Yep.
in the finals.
Yeah.
2015, that's what did the switch for me. I was never huge, mind you, I'm a Miami Heat fan. But even when LeBron was in Miami, I never looked at him like, oh, man, that's a god on the court, that savior on the court who could do all things.
Right.
It wasn't until I saw this brother without a Kyrie, without a Kevin Love, go out there and still damn near take the Warriors to 7. I said,
Right.
whoa, wait a
He's
minute.
different, bro.
Wait a
He's
minute.
different.
I never discounted brother's talent.
Right.
But when he did that, I was like, oh, you know what?
It's about that time.
There it is.
Yeah.
And then the following year, come back from down 3-1.
3-1.
And then the 2017,
I mean, we know, yeah.
what you gonna do against that? But 2018, that performance of taking that Cavs team to the finals. Last year, the brother was hurt. You see him this year, but he's got backup with KD. No team has ever won by themselves.
Never.
What about Allen Iverson? He went to the NBA final. He took some plumbers and janitors. Word to Kemi Matama, Defensive Player of the Year. Larry Brown was Coach of the Year. Aaron McKee came off the bench. He was Sixth Man of the Year. The man ain't have nothing, but he had some scrubs that was on there.
Yeah.
But let's not say brother couldn't play. Kawhi, you got a squad. 2 6-mans of the year.
Yeah.
You also yourself a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year.
2-time
Paul
Finals MVP.
George last year was a top 10 player. You got no excuse. Doc Rivers is a former Coach of the Year. You've got to get the job done, and you did not.
Shame
Take
on
the L out of Lover. It's over, brother. Shave off your cornrows. It's done. You're bald. Strip him of his race. You're albino Mexican. It's over.
And make sure you take stinky ass, dusty ass, musty ass, crusty ass Patrick Beverly with you, because it's over, brother. But now we not focused on y'all anymore. We focused on winners. You understand? We're talking about the Western Conference Finals, which will take place between the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers. We're here. We're ready. We are one series away from the NBA Finals, COVID edition. I got to ask you, brother, before we get into game one, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions for this Denver Nuggets versus Los Angeles Lakers matchup?
I got the Lakers in 5.
Oh,
Initially, I had the Lakers in 6. I'm going to take the Lakers in 5 because I don't think LA, especially watching the way that Denver has played over the course of the last 2 series, you're not in a position to where you can allow what just happened to happen. Moreover, you can abuse them in the paint. No disrespect to Jokic and Paul Millsap, but these ain't no stout defenders.
Yeah.
You got AD, who's a top 5 player in the league, walking into the paint, and he should be able to stay there. My biggest problem that I have with LA, especially with LeBron, is he likes to do this thing where he vets his opponent. Game 1, that's a feel-out game. There ain't no time to feel out.
no time.
This is a dangerous Denver Nuggets team.
very dangerous.
But LA should have no reason to not be able to abuse these guys in the paint. Denver has been able to not only keep themselves going because of their talent, but their sheer willpower, their desire to not want to go home is what's carrying them here. But if they get into a 3-1 hole, they're not overcoming that against LA. This is a different animal.
Yeah.
Psychologically, you got dogs on there. Okay, playoff Rondo's not no myth.
different.
This guy's here.
He's different.
LeBron, we don't need to say nothing. AD, I'm kind of not sold yet.
Interesting.
But you got all of these different guys, and now remember against Houston, because they played that small ball, you didn't see too much of the JaVale McGee's and the Dwight Howards and things of that nature because they can't guard those 3-point shooters. Now that you bring in Denver and a Paul Millsap can stretch the floor, and a Jokic can also stretch the floor, it's kind of like the same thing. But if Denver can't go and score inside and dominate inside the paint, it's over. If you have to depend on the outside shot to go, it's over. They've got to play team basketball if they want to beat the Lakers. And the Lakers, I don't think anybody else in the league is better at team basketball than LA. Especially with Rondo here as well.
Right.
I'm rolling with LA to win in 5. I got them in 5.
I'm gonna give the Nuggets more credit than that. Like I said, I said from day one, before the postseason, for me, the Lakers are going to the finals for one reason and one reason only. I think this is their win or go home year. LeBron is incredible. He obviously is one of the most physically gifted athletes ever, but Father Time is undefeated, and he only has so much more time before the dissipation begins. And I feel like this is the year to get it done. So for me, the Lakers are going to win this series. Now, in terms of how many games, I got 6. I'm going to give the Denver Nuggets more credit than that. The Lakers have gotten a little bit of time to rest up, especially Braun, given that he's older. He definitely does need it. But a lot of times, rest actually can work against you. And in the case of this, where you have a Denver Nuggets team that's riding high off of the momentum of coming back from 2-3-1 deficits back to back, this is a Los Angeles Lakers team where if they want to win this series, you cannot take your foot off the gas at any given point in time. To one of the points you made earlier, the second half it is imperative that literally on all cylinders you guys are firing. They're firing. So for me, my eyes are on one person only. We know LeBron is going to show up. You understand? We know what Rondo is going to do in all these different. I'm looking at Anthony Davis. You have to step up, and we need to see an otherworldly performance throughout the entirety of this series. I think that this series for them is more important than if they were this series for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is more important than what's going to happen in the finals. Because, like I said, this team is dangerous. They're dynamic. They could do it on all parts of the court. And for me, it just has to happen. So I'm saying 6 games. I think it'll be one of those situations where I got the Lakers coming out and winning 1. Then maybe the Denver Nuggets come back and win 2 more. And then the Lakers finally wake the fuck up. And they're like, all right, let's just close this thing out. And they win 3 straight going out. But that's how I see it.
Yeah, I'll just close off with this in this particular, and then we can move on to the NFL.
Right.
But I think, and it's not a slight on Denver at all, but this series solely is in the hands of LA. They dictate where this series is going to go.
Right.
You have to be able to get the Nuggets to play at your pace. Bottom line. If you try to run with the Nuggets and their style of basketball, you already lost.
Yeah.
LA is a heavy veteran sort of team. Morris, AD, Braun, Rondo, Dwight, McGee. These guys are older in age. You still got your young guns who are there, but these guys are guys who've been here before. They got people who've been around the league. You know the attitude that it takes to win in the league. Even though you got some guys who's some losers on there, notorious losers, but you've seen winners. This is solely on the hands of the Lakers. They cannot go out there and not play their brand of basketball. If they play the brand of basketball we saw between games 2 through 5 of the Houston series,
it's over.
It's a possibility they can win. However, remember, games 2 through 5, actually, There were situations where LA jumped out to 20-point leads and they ended up squandering those. They didn't end up losing the lead in all four, but they did get lax. So that's the same thing that, the Nuggets have been able to eat off of. But my thing is solely psychology. I don't think the Lakers are going to sleep on this Nuggets team because they have to acknowledge how good the Nuggets really are. But it's solely in the hands of LA to go out there and play their brand of basketball. That's all I got to say
And
about it.
personally, I believe they will definitely get the job done. We're looking forward to game 1 of the series. I think that's on Friday.
No, tomorrow.
Oh, that's tomorrow?
Yeah, actually, for you guys, it's going on after, the premiere.
There you go. So I'm looking forward to it. Definitely going to be a fun series to watch. Conference finals. Make sure y'all definitely check that out. But now that's the NBA. The NBA been going on. But another, you understand, league is back. That is the National Football League, back and better than ever. Football is here. I know you're excited. I'm excited. The people at home are excited. So many different things to discuss, so many different things to touch on. But first and foremost, it wouldn't be right to broach the NFL, to bring in the new season without talking about the defending Super Bowl champions. We're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, who came out in the first game of the season against Houston with the dub. And there's a lot of interesting talk and speculation. There was a lot of talks throughout the summer, throughout the off season, and now we're here in the beginning of the regular season, and everybody's wondering, can they do it again? You have a Patrick Mahomes who just got a ridiculous, a North American historic contract. You understand? All the pieces are still in play. Big Red is back again for another year. You understand? They buffed up their backfield, bringing in a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Things are looking good for the Kansas City Chiefs, even though, of course, the season just started. But I got to ask you, first and foremost, there was an interesting comparison floating around that the Kansas City Chiefs are the Golden State Warriors of football. So I'm not necessarily. I kind of get where the comparison comes from. I guess trying to say that they're like the juggernaut team to beat right now in the NFL. But what's your thoughts on that remark?
Golden State Warriors? No, because football is a little bit different. If you look at last year, although the Kansas City Chiefs walked away with the championship, you didn't feel like they were the best team in football last year. Best team in football was the Baltimore Ravens.
Right.
They just
Didn't
ran
get
into King. Oh, Henry. But we ain't
Right.
talking about that right now. But Kansas City, they definitely have the talent
Right.
for it, for sure. But it's still week 1. I wouldn't say Golden State Warriors because you have to be the dynasty to have talks about comparisons to dynasties.
Right.
So will get there when we get there. But Kansas City, I need to see more. Not to say they're not, capable of it. They're surefire Super Bowl contender to possibly go on and repeat. Do not get me wrong at all. But maybe pump the brakes on, comparison to one of the greatest dynasties of all time.
Right.
So they give it some time. Give it some time. Because remember, they have an offensive lineman who opted out of the season. You had your, Damian Williams, who should have been, in my opinion, yes, arguably he was the Super Bowl MVP.
I agree.
He opted out of the season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, very good game up against, the Texans, but still, we need to see a whole season.
Right.
I'm confident that they will make a deep, playoff push once again, but I don't know about the dynasty talk just yet, my brother.
I agree. Yeah, football is definitely a whole lot different from basketball. Just for the main reason, something that I touch on a lot, is just so many different things that come with football. There's so many different moving pieces that have to come together properly in order for a team to win. So often, and you've been watching football and studying football for a long time, so you know this. Not all the times, like in basketball, does the best team come out on top. All it takes is one play, one player, one missed call, one this, one that, anything can happen in the game of football at any given time. So I understand where the sentiment comes from, because when you look at this Kansas City Chiefs team on paper, for the most part, they still have everything in place for them to go back and repeat. Now, will they get it done? It's still extremely early. If barring injury, I don't see why not. We'll get into some, other speculations and comparisons later. But all in all, I understand it, but it's a little bit early for that. But all eyes are definitely on this team because, like I said, there's so many different things. Given that they just won the Lombardi, given the contract that Patrick Mahomes just got, I get it. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that. But now moving forward, we kind of touched on it already. For you, what are the chances? What kind of chances would you give the Kansas City Chiefs going into this season to not just go back to the Super Bowl, but to win it again this season?
It's probable.
Okay.
It certainly is probable. But I don't think it'll happen.
Okay.
We haven't had a repeat champion since the 2004 Patriots.
Okay.
So it's been kind of hard to get back,
Extremely
to the
difficult.
Super Bowl and also win it again.
Right.
I think they'll most likely it's either AFC Championship or Super Bowl appearance. But I think they'll possibly make that deep playoff push, but I don't think they'll win it this year.
I'll agree with you there. I mean, like I said, if we're talking about barring injury,
Yeah,
I
barring
think, first of
injury.
all, the standard. Once again, I think a lot of different things are tied to one thing and one thing only. Once again, it's not the Patrick Mahomes effect.
Yep.
Given how much success this brother has had early on in his career, and given that literally Kansas City has literally gone all in on him, the standard has now been set where it's literally Brady-esque with the Patriots, where it's Super Bowl or bust. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about
Absolutely.
it. So, in the case of what chances do I give them to make it back this year and win it? I don't know about their. I know that they definitely do have a chance to make it back to the Super Bowl, but it's really unlikely for me to see them repeating back to back. Now, if they do that, then we can start having another conversation in terms of all-time greatness when it comes
Absolutely.
to Patrick Mahomes and things of that nature. I've gone on record to say I believe that by the end of his career, he will be a multiple-time Super Bowl champion. You've said that given the contract that he's given, feel like he needs to at least win one more.
Yep.
I think he needs to win at least two more. I think he's more than capable of winning two more. Will that happen within the next 3 to 4 years? Time will tell. But I can't see them winning the Super Bowl this season. If it does happen, incredible. But if it doesn't, well, that's football. So there's that. But now looking at this Kansas City Chiefs team, like we said, on both sides of the ball, they have a lot of playmakers and a lot of talent at their disposal. But for you personally, after Patrick Mahomes, of course, who would you say is the second most important player to this Kansas City Chiefs team's success? You could be on either side of the ball.
Initially, I was going to say Tyrann Mathieu, but I think probably Chris Jones.
Okay.
I think Chris Jones has to be able to go out there and produce the same impact in getting after the quarterback. No disrespect to Tyrann Mathieu. That brother's a dog. He
Right.
can absolutely cover. He does it all on the field.
Right.
But if they don't apply pressure, I think Kansas City's going to fall apart. Because remember, this has always been a defense. They bend, they don't break.
Right.
But if you're in a position where you're not applying pressure, you're gonna have a tough time.
Right.
Although they were able to get after, Deshaun Watson, watching that game, it felt more bad offensive line of the Texans than it felt good pass rush by Kansas City. Kansas City had their moments where you saw, oh, that's a magnificent rush. But for the most part, you saw was the Texans' ineptitude up front.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I want to see what Chris Jones performs like now having been paid. He's got $85 million man. In sports, period, there's a stigma of when you get your money, all of a
gotta
sudden
show up.
you get lax.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I want to see how that D-line perform. If they do not perform to the level that they did last year, I think it's going to be very tough. So that's who I think is the second player who needs to be on point.
I understand where you're coming from, and I think there's no when it comes to the two names you brought, you could really go either direction with this. I'll say this much about Chris Jones. As we know, the most important job on the defensive side of the ball is you have to be able to get after the quarterback. You understand? And him being a defensive tackle, bringing that pressure up front is extremely imperative to their success as a defense. Offensively, like we know what they're going to do.
we know.
Like Kelsey's still there, Tyreek Hill's still there. They've been knocking it out of the park with a lot of the wide receiver picks that they've had in the draft. We saw what happened with Mecole Hardman, and I know you're kind of iffy with DeMar. What was the nickname for him?
DeMarcus Robinson?
No, what's the nickname for him? DeMar somebody Robinson.
Oh, Robinson, something like
Yeah,
that.
something like
That's
that.
a lot. Yeah.
DeMarcus Robinson, and things of that nature. And then in the backfield, even though it's one game, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is showing some promise.
Some promise, yeah.
But with Patrick Mahomes in the backfield and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill there, and that offensive line still being solid, we know what they're going to do offensively. So now the question becomes on the defense side of the ball. I get where you're coming from with the Chris Jones, but I'm looking at Tyrann Mathieu, and once again, my favorite thing to look at, the emotional leader of
absolutely.
the team. Tyrann Mathieu, you put him on any roster in the NFL, automatic leader. You understand? He's one of those dudes where he will make sure to speak up and make his presence known. And similar to what we talked about with a Jimmy Butler, you can see it in the way that the defense plays as well. I love the comment that he made at the end of the Texans game where I forget what the question was, but I guess they asked him, like, what did he think of the way the defense performed? He's like, I'm pissed. We could have held them 7 points. That level of accountability is what you need to be successful as a defense, to help people understand, like, yo, we're not here to play. We're trying to be all-time great, or at least that's what the standard should be.
Yep, absolutely.
Because that's what the expectation is for us, a Super Bowl or bust. And I think that there's no better player than a Tyrann Mathieu on the defensive side of the ball that's going to make sure each and every single play, not just in the defense, in the secondary, but in the linebacking core and also in the defensive pass rush, that's going to hold players accountable and make sure that every drive, every play, we're competing our asses off. So for me, I'm looking at Tyrann Mathieu. I love his drive. We obviously know how talented he is, right? But for me, I think it definitely has to be him. But with this Kansas City Chiefs team, we talked about one consistent thing, right? The pressure, the expectation that comes with the pressure of needing to win, given what's going on with Patrick Mahomes and everything else. But Patrick Mahomes isn't the only quarterback on a team that's dealing with some pressure right now. There's several other quarterbacks in the league right now coming into this season with a whole lot of pressure on them. So I wanted to take this time to address the top 5 quarterbacks, starting from number 5, going all the way up to number 1.
Okay.
We can go back and forth. I guess your 5, my 5, your 4, my 4. The top 5 quarterbacks going into this NFL season with the most pressure moving forward. Starting at number 5, who's your number 5?
My number 5, it was a toss-up between 3 because I had Derek Carr,
Interesting.
I had Carson Wentz, and I had Dak Prescott.
Okay.
But if I had to choose between all of them, I would have to say it's Dak.
Okay.
It's going to be Dak because you got a team that missed the postseason last year. Everybody around him got paid. He signed a franchise tag. And signing the franchise tag, not getting the money from Jerry Jones, that's pretty much saying, yo, we don't believe in you.
Yeah.
So Dak is under pressure to earn that contract from Jerry Jones. It's just, for me, it's every year Super Bowl or bust for Dallas. It's NFC Championship or bust for Dallas right now.
Right.
If Dak don't go out there and give you a playoff game, win his division, do something, it's over for him. He's out of a job.
Right.
And I'll make a little case for Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, although he's locked up moving forward, he just has to get to the postseason and perform in the postseason. We've never seen him be able to finish a season. So that's his pressure. And Derek Carr, it's make or break this season. I mean, brother might just mess around and lose his job. If Las Vegas don't make it to the postseason, it's over for him. So yeah, that's my number 5.
Number 5, I'm going to roll with the same person. I'm going with Dak Prescott. Look, it's as simple as this. One thing we're not talking about enough is we forget that they had a change at backup quarterback in a player, Andy Dalton, who's locked, loaded, and ready to fill in the shoes of Dak Prescott. Red Rifle. Given what may or may not happen this season, it's as simple as this. Jerry Jones understands, and every Cowboy fan and every Cowboy player understands that you're saying that it's NFC Championship or bust. For him and for us, it's Super Bowl or bust. That's what it is every year. And given the talent that they have on offense, granted the offensive line clearly is not what it once was, and defensively, we're going to wait and see how things play out for the rest of the season. But you have a CD Lamb. You have an Amari Cooper. You understand? You have a Michael Gallup who we hope will take that next step and learn how to stop using his hands for decoration. And you have an Ezekiel Elliott who's arguably the best running back in the league right now, if not definitely top 3. All eyes are on Dak Prescott to show up and show out. And if the Dallas Cowboys do not win out the season, right? For me, I'll go as far to say, realistically, I can't see them getting to the Super Bowl. And even if they lose, then Dak Prescott lose a job. I think if they at least just get there, you understand, there will be some hope for him, but you got to show up and show out. There's no making it to the playoffs as a wild card and losing. Yep. No, there's no winning the division, winning a playoff game. Then no. You have to make it to the Super Bowl, or you will lose your job, because clearly Dallas has no faith in you right now, and you're not going to give them any reason to have any moving forward if you do not win when it matters most, which is the postseason. But that's my number 5. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Interesting.
For my Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay.
Because this is the first time that Pittsburgh has had, going into a season, a surefire top 5 defense, top 3 defense, arguably best defense in the league, right? Where they're firing on all cylinders. And last year, you saw a team that literally was just a quarterback away from a playoff berth.
That's true.
Right? They were sitting at 8-5 with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. So Ben coming back and saying he's 100%, this is a team that has no holes. Offensive line, although you're missing a piece because David DeCastro didn't play in week 1, but offensive line is pretty solid.
He got is it because of the Myles Garrett situation?
No. He's out because he had a lower body injury.
Got you.
So he'll be back. James Conner, although he had a high ankle sprain week 1, but Benny Snell stepped in and still ran for 100 yards.
Right.
Juju's back. You drafted Chase Claypool. Deontay Johnson's there. You brought in tight end Eric Ebron came in. Vance McDonald's there. The offense has their pieces.
Oh, they good.
The defense top in the league.
Yup.
You literally.
Time. It's time.
It's time.
It's time, bro.
You're on your last legs. You're 38 years old.
Mm-hmm. This is it.
You got to get it done
This is
because Pittsburgh signed you through 2021, and they're talking about possibly extending you even longer. So we're talking about, hey, we're a quarterback away. Quarterback's back. Seven's back. Go out there and win us that Lombardi, man.
Interesting. You know what? My number 4 is kind of the reason for my number 4 is similar to yours, but it's a different name. I'm looking at Mr. Drew Brees because listen, I feel like for the past 3 seasons, every year we've looked at the NFC and they've been the favorite to come out on top. But it's always been one thing after another. We look at the Minnesota Miracle, and then the season after that. No, I think it was the season. Was that the season after, right?
No, it was the season after. Yeah.
And then the season after that, they come back again and they just straight up went to bed. This is the season to get it done. Drew Brees is not going to get any younger, and when you look at the pieces that they have on the team, not just on offense, but even on defense, this team is locked, loaded, and ready to go all the way back to the Super Bowl. So I think all the pressure now is on Drew Brees because for me, and I feel like I sound like a broken recorder saying this, guy. I said this last season, and I said it the season before that. But if he does not get it done this season, I'm not sure when he's going to get it done.
Absolutely.
You understand? So my eyes are definitely right now in terms of the number 4 spot is on Drew Brees. Number 3.
Number 3 for me, it's Baker Mayfield.
Interesting. Okay.
It's Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, you have the offense that is around you. David Njoku, I think they just put him on IR. I don't even know what happened to him. I saw him catch a touchdown. All of a sudden, they talk about he's gone, right?
Gotcha.
But Odell is there. Jarvis is still there. Backfield, you got Kareem Hunt. You got Nick Chubb. Baker, we talking about you got all these targets around you. You cannot afford to have a season like you had last year. It's pretty doggone simple. They expect the Browns to be better. You're supposed to be the person who pulled the Browns to a postseason appearance. You got all this bravado. You got all this confidence. You've got to go out there and perform. Bottom line. A lot of people put like last year, they were talking about Super Bowl, all this stuff. Get your team to the postseason.
Right.
There is no excuse why you should not be able to get it done.
Right.
Bottom line.
Number 3, I got Tom Brady. Listen, now that he has officially left the New England Patriots and started anew in Tampa Bay, the rest of his career is going to be, even though he doesn't want it to be, is going to be tied to what happens with him in Tampa Bay versus what happens with Bill Belichick in New England. And the fact of the matter is they found, I wouldn't say they found their quarterback, but they have found a quarterback in Cam Newton, who so far, still very early, has shown that for the most part, he will be apt enough to get the job done. So now all eyes are on Tom Brady. You have a good head coach in a Bruce Arians. Offensively, their offensive line is very suspect, but we'll see how that progresses throughout the rest of the season. You had Rob Gronkowski, which I think adds even more pressure to him because we know the level of expectation that comes with Gronk, even though he's on his last legs and things of that nature, and he had a year off and he's a little bit older, but you had a Rob Gronkowski not just come out of retirement. No, they made him trade. They made New England trade for him to get him to Tampa Bay. You have a Mike Evans. You have a Chris Godwin. You have a Ronald Jones, and y'all just got Leonard Fournette to match up with him, right? Defensively, we'll talk about that another time. But I'm looking at a Tom Brady, and I'm saying the expectation is Super Bowl or bust immediately. You understand? If Tom Brady, because we don't even know what's going to happen with them in the postseason because you still have to get through New Orleans. The division goes through them still. If Tom Brady does not make it at least to the NFC Championship game, we're having serious and on top of that, for whatever reason, the Patriots are at least able to make it back to playoffs and win. Even if they just win one game, there's going to be some serious conversations about how the Belichick affected the success of Brady and all these other different things. So that's definitely something to consider. So for me, my number 3, I'm looking at Tom Brady. Number 2,
I'd say for my number 2 is Drew Brees.
Okay.
It's Drew Brees. I don't have Brady on my list. I'm
Really?
not going. Yeah, I don't think Brady's under as much pressure as people make it seem. Brother's 43, 48, 87 years old. I don't think at this point, although Tampa Bay is putting the pressure on Tom Brady, I don't think the NFL. It'd be nice, but I think the writing's on the wall for him. This is pretty much whatever sort of expectation they may have thought that they expected him to go out there and do. I don't see it happening.
You think it's a 1-2-3 Cancun kind of situation?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. It's a 1-2-3 Turks and Caicos. That's where they go. As for Drew Brees, like you touched on, you have a team that was slotted to possibly go represent the NFC in the Super Bowl in each of the last 3 years.
3 years.
And what do? Get eliminated on the last play in each of the last 3 years in the postseason. It's not up or shut up time. That's all it is.
Not up.
Not up or shut up time, man. Are you going to ejaculate inside of the locker room at the conclusion of the Super Bowl with all of the champagne? Or are you going to be sitting at your house upset, shutting the fuck up, watching the Super Bowl game? What is it going to be? That's the way that I see it. Drew Brees, you 40, 41.
Yeah.
Get the job done.
It's time, brother.
You are the all-time leading passer. You just broke the record for most attempts. You are statistically the greatest quarterback of all time. How about you add another ring on your finger so you can get the respect that you deserve? That's it. Bottom line. He's my number 2.
Number 2, I got Carson Wentz. Now, I want to say this. My number 2 and my number 1, like I said, when you talk about quarterbacks with the most pressure going into this season, I'm thinking about the biggest 2 components for me are winning and also the possibility of losing your job, right? And then you could use that and say, well, why didn't you put Dak higher? Whatever. But I'm looking at Carson Wentz, and I'm saying this. We have yet to see you perform in the postseason. The one season where you're arguably your best season yet, where you were supposed to win MVP, you get injured, Nick Foles steps in, and he gets you your first ring. Congratulations. However, they get rid of a Nick Foles now. Now you're the guy. You have to show up and show out, and up until this point, we have not gotten a chance to see him do that because of injury. Last year, the first postseason, we were finally going to get a chance to see him playing. I think what happened, his knee or his back or something.
No, it's a concussion. I believe Clowney had hit him in the back of the head.
And then they end up losing that playoff game, and here we are. Now, coming into before this season, they go and they draft a Jalen Hurts. Now, granted, Jalen Hurts, personally, I don't think he's ready to come in. He's gonna need some time. But I would not be surprised if, depending on how the season plays out, and especially given your injury history, I think at one point in time in the season, Jalen Hurts will take the field. Whether that be mid-game or going into whatever it may be. So I'm looking at a Carson Wentz because this is a guy that they gave a long-term extension to. I think it was, two seasons ago? Last season? Or whatever it be.
2 seasons.
You're in a division that's more than winnable. Like we've been to, I think this year, 9-7 wins the division for me. I think 9-7 wins the division. 9-7, 10-6 is being kind, but not 9-7 will win the division. You're in a winnable division. You understand? They went out and they got a Jalen Reagor. You understand? Deshaun Jackson is back, although he's a little bit older. You have the requisite pieces that you need on offense to go out there and get it done. It's time to go out and get it done. Otherwise, I wouldn't be surprised if going into next season we see a new starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
And number 1 for you,
Aaron Rodgers.
Number
1,
I was thinking about
Aaron Rodgers. Bottom line is this much. You drafted his successor in Jordan Love.
Right.
Brought this brother in. You have a situation where you went to the NFC Championship. You went 13-3. That's probably those guys in Green Bay giving a phone call as we speak. What do you mean he's under pressure? What do you mean he's a successor? Aaron Rodgers is going to stay in Green Bay forever. Caught channeling their inner Dory Funk, but that's not what's happening.
Right.
All right? Aaron Rodgers has to make it back to the Super Bowl. It has been a decade.
Yeah.
All right? You are 36 years old. Everybody has said, man, you know what? He's fallen off. He's not as good as we thought he was. Man, we talk about him as possibly the greatest quarterback of all time. Oh, get out of here. No, Aaron Rodgers got to get it done. Bottom line. Yeah. NFC Championship, you saw the lack of pieces that was around him getting the job done. Did anybody in Green Bay, did they bring in any receiver help? No. But it's on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers. He's under all of the pressure. Why? Because he's going to be the person who they blame for everything. It's not going to be Green Bay's organization. It's not going to be their lack of defensive, consistency. It's not going to be on Aaron Jones. Oh, no, it's going to fall on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers. You have to go out there despite the things around you and go and perform. Bottom line. Aaron Rodgers is under the most pressure. In my opinion, he's under the most pressure.
I actually didn't put Aaron Rodgers on my list. Funny enough, I didn't think to put him on there because I felt like, But number 1, I actually have Baker Mayfield, and here's why. I'm looking at this Cleveland Browns team, and on both sides of the football, they are young but talented nonetheless. Offensively, you have two of the best wide receiving talents in the league in a Jarvis Landry and an Odell Beckham. Your offensive line slowly but surely is coming together. They went in, they got themselves a Jedrick Willis. We'll see how that plays out throughout the rest of the season. You have a nice 1-2 punch in the backfield with a Nick Chubb, who's arguably a top 3, top 5 running back in the league, with a Kareem Hunt, who once upon a time looked like the best running back in the league in the Kansas City days. We'll see what happens as the season progresses. And things have constantly been changing. Pieces have been added, removed, taken away, new head coaches, new front office people, all these different things. But one thing has remained constant in the Cleveland Browns' inability within the past 3 seasons to get the job done. Their starting quarterback.
Yep.
Baker Mayfield has got to get the job done this season. It's just that simple. For me, you have to win the AFC North. And at least win just one playoff game to show that you are able to be a starting quarterback for the future for this team. Otherwise, like I said, I would not be surprised if going into by some more time in this season he gets switched out. I don't know who their backup is. Is it Deshaun Kaiser or whoever it may be? I don't even fucking know.
Kaiser somewhere. Who knows who else is in
I don't know who. We don't know. We don't know.
They might got you on the depth chart.
They gave me a call the other day.
Hey.
But listen. Baker Mayfield has got to get it done, especially since last year, I believe it was him who helped to get Freddie Kitchens the job.
Yep.
Lost it after a year. Now they get Kevin Stefanski, former offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. They can only do so many switches at head coach before they realize what the real problem is. You had a sophomore slump last year. We'll give you somewhat of a pass, but this is the year. No more excuses. Odell is healthy. Jarvis Landry is healthy. The offensive line, we'll see how it goes. You have help in the backfield. Defensively, I think their defense can be top 15, top 15, top 10. The talent is there. Myles Garrett is one of the best pass rushers in the league. We'll see how the secondary performs. All eyes are on Baker Mayfield to go out and get it done, or else he will not be a starting quarterback for this team. But now, as we prepare to close out the episode 27 of the Golden My Nuggets, I want to do some rapid fire expectations and I guess predictions. We're still in game 1 of the NFL season, 15 more to go. There's so much football to be played, but all we can do is hope and predict and assume what we expect to happen within each division of both the NFC and the AFC. So real quick, we're going to go to each division in both the AFC and the NFC. 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Who you think will come out on top? And we'll start with the NFC East. Go.
NFC East, I got the Cowboys.
There you go. There you go. Why?
Got the Cowboys winning because the Eagles, I still think that there is a bit of question marks regarding them staying healthy.
Right.
And I think the Cowboys just have the much more complete roster. Like you said, 9-7 wins it. I think both will end up with the same record, but the Eagles won't have the tiebreaker this time around.
Gotcha.
I got the Cowboys winning.
I got the Cowboys coming out with it too. The Giants are still rebuilding. The Redskins are still rebuilding. So we know it comes down between the Eagles and the Cowboys. And I think that they're just more talented. They look better. They're better on both sides of the ball. So for me, I'm going to roll with the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, I think it'll be one of those situations where they won't be significantly higher up in terms of record compared to the Eagles, but they will have more division wins. So they'll ultimately win the tiebreaker, and then that'll be that. NFC West.
NFC West, that's a tough one. That's a
Interesting
tough one because the defending champions inside of the 49ers,
Lost the
I
first
don't
game.
see them having it. They're the only team that's in there that hasn't won yet. I got Seattle winning that one.
Okay, got you. I'm gonna go roll with Seattle too, just for the simple fact that I think Russell Wilson is one of, if not the most underappreciated players in the NFL. This man has been nothing more. Has been extremely consistent for the entirety of his career. He's shown up and shown out, and I think this is the year where he finally secures his regular season MVP that he's been avoided. He's been, I don't want to say robbed, but he just hasn't gotten up until this point. I think this is the year that he gets it done. DK Metcalf is going to ball out. What's the dude's name? Tyler Lockett is going to ball out. Everyone's going to show up and show out. I got Seattle.
Okay.
NFC South.
NFC South, I got the Saints. I got the Saints, yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to. I think Tampa Bay's a wild card team, even if they do make it.
Falcons going to Falcon.
Yeah. Falcons are going to Falcons.
And then the Panthers,
Carolina, come on now.
We're not
Yeah.
And then, of course, the NFC North.
Yeah, the Green Bay.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, Detroit finds a way to Detroit them way out of it.
Chicago
Chicago
is done. Come on now.
Come on now.
Yeah.
And Minnesota, who knows? It's a hit or miss. So, yeah.
AFC East.
AFC East.
Come on now.
I really want to say Buffalo. I really do want to say Buffalo.
But-
It's kind of tough.
but-
I can't bet against Bill Belichick, man. Initially, I had Buffalo win a division. I think I'm about to flip the script, dog. I'm going with New England. I think New England fixing to keep it.
I think Josh Allen doesn't get enough credit as he deserves. He's a playmaker. I love what they've done with adding Stephon Diggs to that group. And defensively, I think they're going to surprise some people this year. So for me, I'm going to roll with Buffalo to come out on top of the AFC East. AFC West.
AFC West, Kansas City.
Kansas City. We don't even got to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas City. AFC South.
AFC South, ooh, that's a tough one. Now it's a lot. It's all over the place. You got me, Jacksonville. I don't really feel too confident in them. Indy, possibly, but who knows? I'm probably gonna have to go and give it to Tennessee.
I'm going to give it to Tennessee just for the simple fact that I think they're going to replicate what they did last year. Give the ball to Derrick Henry and get the fork out the way.
Yep,
And then
absolutely.
from there, the last but surely not least, the AFC North.
AFC North, oh boy, it's a toss up.
No,
It's
it's
a tough
not.
one, but
It's
I'm
not.
just gonna give it to Baltimore. I lied. Pittsburgh's gonna win the division.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
AFC North, I think that the Ravens will definitely take a step back, and the Steelers will take a step up. As long as Big Ben stays healthy, this is a team that can possibly make it all the way back to the Super Bowl again, where Big Ben will put himself in position to get his third ring. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that concludes episode number 27 of the Hold My Nuggets podcast. As always, I am your host with the most, Marv Francois.
And I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the chiseled Adonis.
And we want to thank y'all for tuning in to the Hold My Nuggets podcast. Here we talk 50% sports,
50% real shit,
100% of the time. And if you don't like that, you can hold my nuggets.
Suck my dick.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Golly, we done lost the last 30 seconds.
That's
The
fine.
memory card done died.
Oh,
well,
did
it
it?
didn't die. No, it just expired.
Okay, we'll be fine.
Yeah. All right.